We just moved into our new neighborhood. We unpacked our stuff and went to bed. It was like 10 before we actually all fell asleep, but I didn't really seem to mind. But then I could hear something talking coming from my brother's Jerrold's room. So I thought he was just playing video games or something, and I just left him alone. But then, in the morning, I confronted him. I'm like, Jerrold, what were you doing last night? He looked at me weird. Like I didn't even do anything. But I knew he'd be doing something, so I sort of just let it be. Next night was Saturday, so I didn't need to go to school. Lucky me. Then I could hear the light on Jerrold's room once again. This time, I practically swung the door open, and there was Jerrold. There were weird pictures all over the wall, like something out of a horror movie. And then there was Jerrold sitting in the middle of them. Now, Jerrold didn't look as he normally did. His eyes looked reddish, not the normal brown color they were. And I was shocked at this point, so I slowly backed away. But Jerrold just looked at me. His smile, his face looked just wrong. Like it shouldn't even be human. His smile was a massive grin. I was just weirded out at this point, and I went just to bed. I did not care what he was doing. I practically flew into bed, and I hid under my covers because my door didn't have a lock that time. But the next night, I told my parents. But that day, I told my parents, and they didn't believe me. So this time, I stole my dad's camera, and I saw the light in Jerrold's room on again, and I went over in to investigate. Again, I saw the same thing that I saw the night before. Jerrold in the room with a bunch of pictures everywhere. Now, I flew on the camera, and he stopped. He looked at me, paused expression, just blank, looking at me. His eyes turned back, and he just fell down like he was possessed or something. I closed the door and ran, locked my door. Well, I couldn't lock it, so I barricaded it, and I was scared. So when the morning rolled around, and I was at school, but I showed my parents, and they looked at me like I was crazy. In the picture, there was some disordered figure looking at me at the camera. It looked like something wasn't human. The arms and legs were stretched out, skinny looking. Its entire thing, it looked like a human, but it wasn't. Its smile reached across his face. Its skin was pale. You could see its rib cage, and there was too many ribs. Its legs just sort of flopped out there. It was just its mouth. It looked so just creepy. And that point, we all looked at Jerrold, and he said he didn't know what that figure was. Actually, he was scared of that. So we all called the cops, and we didn't know what to do, really. The cops didn't know what to do either, so they grabbed one of their, they grabbed a priest, and they tried to summon away any demon that was supposed to be there. The next night, we set up security cameras to look at Jerrold, and there was the creature again, sitting there. But it looked different this time. It wasn't smiling anymore. It looked hurt. It just looked just sad, I guess. It looked like he was gonna throw up, to be honest. So we were all pretty freaked out at this point. So we didn't even know what to do at this point. So we sort of kicked Jerrold out. Like, he didn't go on the streets. He went to an orphanage because we didn't know what to do with him. We didn't want our family to get possessed. We didn't want anything to do with the demons.